As we can see, a grey and gold 35 is requiring starting in the usual manner for a grey and gold 35.
Morning, Jonathan.
Morning, Gerald. How best? This is Gerald. He's one of the organisers of this whole event. Interesting story. I met Gerald a couple of years ago and found out he'd come out from England in 1963. Prior to that, he lived in the same region that I lived in and actually used to go out with my grandmother's sister. So there you go, it's a small world.
You can't get away from them even in the colonies.
It's very sad that you're not here to help us, but we're going to soldier on without you. So, catch you later, mate. Yeah, we're at the Magoya's property in Manjimup. This is the 4th State Ploughing Championships event. And yeah, we're going to finish up with 16 or 18 tractors here today. Horse teams just arrived, so yeah, it's all good. Safety. Whatever happens, it's your responsibility. Just be so careful. There'll be children and pushchairs, so number one, got to be safety.
There are no additional points for actually ploughing in children or pushchairs, by the way. And just an interesting point about this being the 4th year. The first ploughing match that was held was the first time that a lot of these gentlemen had ever actually ploughed in a competition setting. And for all of them, it was definitely a learning curve. Right, so from my left to the right, just a quick rundown of what we've got. First of all, it looks like we've got a Ford Force 3000 or 2000. It's hard to tell from this terrible quality photograph. But that tractor would be about a 1967-68. Next, we have a Massey Ferguson 35. This is after they were bought out by Massey Harris. And you'll note the difference between that and another Ford Ferguson soon. We have another Force 3000 by looks of things. Nicely turned out little tractor there. And then the next tractor is a Ford Pre-Force 2000. So same as the previous Ford 2000, but with slightly different styling and an earlier model. We have another Massey Ferguson 35, looks like it could be a 35X, bit of a multi-power. We have a Ford Dexter, which is Ford's answer to the 35, come out in the mid-50s. We have a Massey Ferguson 135, which is the 100 series version of the Massey Ferguson 35, and the counterpart to the Ford 2000. We have what looks like another Ford Dexter, hard to tell, there's someone stood in the way. A grey and gold Massey Ferguson 35, now this is released prior to the Massey Harris buyout. These tractors are notorious for being bad starters. And finally, another Massey Ferguson 35, which is the one that was being tow started earlier. And over in the distance, it looks like a class tractor, although it's hard to tell.
Jim had to go back again and try again and again. Bit of a false start on his opening split.
This is our judge, Richard Creek. He's a champion ploughman from the United Kingdom.
In fact, with an opening, you're supposed to, in fact, take all of the greenery out of the centre. It's supposed to be even both sides, and it wants to be relatively straight as well, because he's got to come back next time and fill that in. And with ploughing, competition ploughing, every piece of land's got to be ploughed. You don't miss anything, okay?
I'm Jim Bagoas from Manjimup, doing a bit of ploughing competition. We've got a 3 Farah Fergie plough, and I've got a Massey Ferguson 35X. And that's a 1958 model tractor.
As you can see here, Jim's using a 3-furrow plough. The interesting thing you'll see about this plough is that it's fitted up with skims, and it's also got what we call general purpose moldboards on it. The skims are there to bury the trash. They just skim the top layer of ground and throw it into the bottom of the furrow, and then the moldboards turn the soil over on top of it. The thing with the general purpose boards is they're a lot longer than the standard semi-digger board that we have in Australia, and as a result you get a lot more firm furrow wall as the soil is turned over. You can actually see it pressing the soil down as it turns it. This is the standard board that you find in England. One of the things that we're seeing here is what's called the out. This is when the plough leaves the ground at the headland. One of the advantages of having a mounted plough, i.e. one that is operated off the hydraulics of the tractor, is you're able to achieve a much more accurate in and out. And it's very difficult when you're with a trailer plough, which is the sort of plough that I use, to score highly for your ins and outs against a hydraulic plough in an open class. As you can see, he's now dropping the plough back in on the headland. And one thing you should just note is you can see that the moldboards and the skims are extremely clean and shiny. This is important with competition ploughing, to have clean and shiny moldboards so that the soil will not stick. You can see he's obviously done something a bit wrong there, and he's just lifted the plough out and backed up to start his in again. And this is another advantage of a hydraulic mounted plough, is you can do that. With a trailer plough you cannot reverse it. Once it's in the ground, the only way you can get it out of the ground is to keep moving forwards.
And this is one of the only spots in Western Australia where we actually have real soil.
Yes, it is beautiful soil. It's a nice carry loam, and they grow a lot of potatoes down here.
Everything else, even in the fertile regions of southwestern Australia, is usually sand. Sand, sand.
It is sand, but it does shine the moldboards up nicely.
Hi, my name's Donald Tomlinson. I'm from Albany, and my next English guy came out from England 50 odd years ago, and I used to do this when I was a child and started doing it again 50 years later. I bought the tractor a couple of years ago and the plough as well, and I'm just trying my best. And hopefully keep my fingers crossed. Thank you.
Aaron Ockwell, I come from Manjimup, just up the road. The Ford 2000 tractor with a massive 12-inch semi-digger plough. Today should be pretty good, but it's very trashy, so my plough's mainly for more open country or bare paddock.
GreasyJohn used that excuse a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but there's no excuse, but we'll do the best we can with what we got. So
Thank you.
That's it.
Russell Mertens, collie. My own tractor let me down, so I've had to borrow one for the day. But anyhow, it's a 2-furrow clough plough, and we're just having some fun today.
What are you normally driving?
Normally drive an Alice Chalmers,
Which model?
or ED40.
I thought you might have been going to say B there for a second, and I thought that'd take you all day.
I've got a CA, but I've upgraded to an ED40.
Well, thank you very much. Good luck.
Russell can usually be seen on an Alice Chalmers CA and a 2-furrow combination. And the Aussie Offsider was just there talking about the Alice Chalmers B. What's he going to use the Alice Chalmers B for? Bring the T out to people?
Control the dog? Tie the dog to it?
Well, I hope it's not a large dog.
But a small dog.
See the way the soil is being cast off those moldboards and how shiny they are, and see the general length of them. That's some pretty nice soil there, Aussie Offsider. What do you reckon?
I don't know anything about this. I'm an Australian.
This is true. You can see here the way the moldboards are in fact casting the soil over. see the idea of the general purpose moldboards. Russell isn't running any skims. Now, there isn't a lot of trash out in this paddock to be buried, so skims aren't really necessary. If you had a heavier grass load, the skims would be more necessary just to push it over into the bottom of the furrow. Now, as I was just saying to Aussie Offsider and asking his opinion, he pointed out he doesn't know anything about it because he's Australian. What actually happened the one and only ploughing match that you entered?
Well, I didn't even finish because I got busy with other stuff.
What other stuff? i.e. ploughing other people's plots?
That's where I was told to plough.
So you ended up ploughing someone else's plot?
Not even relevant. Talk about the plough.
Anyway, so as you can see, Russell's doing a good job here. One thing I did notice, that he's using a depth wheel on his plough. Now, seeing as he's got a tractor with draft control and pretty modern hydraulics, I don't really like seeing that. Yes. I wouldn't say it's cheating, but it's giving you a bit of an unfair advantage.
He went over his mark there. Is that bad?
What, his post?
Well, yeah, the end mark.
No, just go pick it up, put it back on the ground.
He ploughed past the line.
Oh, he ploughed past his ins and out.
Yeah. Is that fine, or he meant to pick it up exactly at the line?
You're supposed to sort of try and pick it up on the line of the headland, but yeah, it's all right. You get a trailer plough, you'll go over it every time. So, yeah, as you can see, Russell's doing a good job. Those moldboards are nice and shiny. The dirt isn't sticking to them, and that's what you want. If you get the dirt
sticking to it right there. Yeah.
Well, that's just a bit of dirt hanging up on the share. You see, here he goes, he's in again. That's what you ideally want. If you get dirt sticking to the moldboards, you'll get great big clods, and it will rip the furrow wall, you know, the compacted side, and it will just look like a mess.
I just thought there should be a gratuitous slow motion footage of this plough coming out.
Well, you're a braver man than I am, stood there, I'll tell you that, especially with bloody Richard on the tractor.
Hi, I'm Richard Jackson from Harvey, and today we're trying to learn how to plough. And I've got a headache before I even started.
What's your machine today, Richard?
What machine?
What's your gear?
Massey Ferguson 35, early 35 with a 2 moldboard 10-inch plough.
Beautiful, thank you, Richard.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey guys, what's Grandad doing today?
What's he doing today? He's ploughing, isn't he? Yell it out.
He's ploughing.
What kind of tractor does Grandad use? What's his favourite sort of tractor?
Ferguson.
Ferguson, that's right. He's a Ferguson man.
Good boy.
How are we getting on, Jared? I'm recording your voice here.
You're recording my voice with it. Now this is Peter Dark from Boyle Brook. Peter's an old ex-English ploughman from way back. Now this is the bloke you've got to watch, because Peter's going to go a long way to winning this. I've just been walking up and down, and yeah, it's all looking good.
The fellow with the broad moldboards, is he going to get points taken off? Because they make it look very easy to turn your soil over.
Yeah, but that's called a deep digger plough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really suitable for this condition. They're meant to go really, really deep.
Mm-hmm.
And at this stage, we don't want to go any more than 6 inches deep. But he's doing a good job. It's different machines, see?
Those Fergusons down there are bringing up a lot of clods and trash and that. Is that because of the side of the paddock or just because they're Fergusons?
Well, it's nothing to do with the paddock or the tractor. It's the ploughman.
Thank you, Jared. I'll be back for lunchtime to get some more.
Thank you.
It is really good to see this. This is the only ploughing match that I'm aware in Western Australia. And it's good to see an interest and blokes out there having a go.
Chris Thompson Dart from White Rock.
And today you're driving
A Dexter, 4 Dexters. Both of them. Yeah, both. I'm driving the Forts and Dexter as well.
and there's the other one. And what's the style of plough you've got on the back?
Both Fergie ploughs. Ferguson ploughs. That's a mole rig.
Is this your first year, or did you compete last year?
Last year as well.
Yes. You've probably done better than me. That's not saying much. Thank you very much.
As you can see, he's doing his out. The way the plough comes up on the hydraulics, it's so much easier to get good ins and outs with a naked plough. It really is.
And here's the finished product. It took them about 4 hours to get here.
It's a lovely bit of ploughing. You can see it finish down here in the bottom right hand corner. It really is good to see a paddock plough trash buried. That's what you want.
Just in case there's any doubt that this was filmed in Australia, here's the Barbie.
That's the only bloody reason you went. Stuff your face.
Oh, that steak was good.
The best commercial man, where is he?
Oh, didn't you win it?
No, afraid not. There's a draw between the two of us.
Oh, I'm sorry, well you can have it.
So I'll keep this on. Thanks for coming.
I see Danny Omedy from Pemberton has taken away the commercial prize.
Thank you. Well. Thank you. What is it? Okie dokie. Next one.
As a matter of interest, you got 156 points. Okay, so we'll refer that back to the next ones. So it is sort of, you're not 1,000 miles away from the other ones. You know, when you look at it overall. So
What is the highest score you've
I'll
got?
get to there in a minute.
Okay, sorry.
Up there, up there.
Okay, the runner-up that we don't have a trophy for the conventional class is Don Tomlinson.
Don Tomlinson.
Yeah, well done. So don't have a trophy for him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
While you're all here, I'd like to thank everybody, these two for doing the organising, and for the judge, everybody, fantastic. And especially for the auction you did earlier. Raising money.
Okay, Don got 164 points. Yep. The winner overall is Russell Mertens with 171.
Russell, where are you?
He went home. I think he went home.
Oh, he's going to get his tractor and bring it back.
Oh, there you
All
go.
right, well, Russell,
And with that goes the overall champion this year. So, now I'm sorry about the horses on the top. There was a bit of a mix-up with the lady in the shop. But we were going to cut them off with an angle grinder. We thought, well, it's a novelty. Yeah, just because one of them had a horse written on it, for whatever reason the bloke went crazy and did it all horses. So there you go. You can laugh at that, or you can cut it off and.
Now the horse people to get tractors, are they?
And thanks to Jim for he's leasing this property. Thanks very much to Jim for allowing us to use it, and the owner, Marin, Wayne Wayne Hughes. So yeah, if it weren't for them, we couldn't have done it. But no worries. Thank you.
Thanks, fella.
I'm certain that if you want to look at the score sheet, you can have a look yourselves and see where you, if it went right and where you went wrong. Okay. We've actually judged this as fairly as we possibly can.
All right.
And being there's several points to get points from, such as a finish and a well-broken surface, and varying trash and uniformity and ins and outs and straightness and crown and opening split, there's a lot involved, isn't there? And this is the only fair way of doing it. Now, first of all, I'd like to say something about the opening split. When we open the split, the job is we've got to move all the soil, okay? So that's pretty important, but you don't go too deep and you don't go too shallow, but you've got to move everything. So if, when a judge comes along and he kicks one of those furrows away, he doesn't want to see any green stuff still stuck in the ground. You should be deep enough to be able to get rid of the roots, but you don't want to be in fact too deep. And the other thing about it is, Don't make it too narrow either. But as your opening furrow wants to be equal. You know, I noticed one or two were, in fact, they were a bit narrow. So when you came back the next time, instead of your furrows dropping evenly, some of them stuck up. You know what I mean? There's one or two out there, they actually stick up a bit more than they should. And that's because as your opening is a little bit too, it's a bit too narrow. The other thing is the ins and outs. Somebody asked me about that just now. You've got the headland furrow there. Now, your furrow, first furrow, the actual full depth of that first furrow must be in the ground on that mark or on that mark. So I don't mind you coming out this way a metre, okay? To drop your plough down before you get to the mark, because if you don't drop it down before you get to the mark, when you enter the ground, that's going to leave a gap in between there's a gap between your first furrow and the actual headland furrow, so make certain you do that next time. Most of these here could have come out this way, okay? So that is something to actually think about.
What about the bottom when you finish to drive out of it?
Same thing. Make certain your last furrow is over the headland mark. And most of you, in fact, didn't get that right. Straightness is fairly straightforward. Ins and outs, I've just mentioned. The uniformity is important, and you've got to make certain you get that front furrow right. Some of you may need to adjust your tractor back wheels a bit, because I noticed one or two of them are getting these front furrows just a bit too wide. And if all your adjustments run out on your plough, that means you've got a problem with your back wheels of your tractor. So you may have to adjust that where you can adjust them. And the other thing was the finish. You've got to get your straightness and your evenness of your finish well before you get to the end. And that means getting a tape measure out and sort of measuring it while it's wide enough so you can make it exactly even before you finish. You know, it's no good trying to do it in the last round because you won't do it. So you've got to do it well before then. And remember, on that last round before your open furrow, that you in fact take your plough to the ground. Quite a lot of you actually plough too deep right up to the last furrow, and you're not supposed to do that. On that last round, you want to lift your plough up. So when you're doing your final furrow, you can wind that back furrow into the ground and just use your front furrow to take out that last slit. And then you're going to have your mole furrow coming out of the bottom, and you're not going to have a problem then taking that last split out and your plough moving over. Why your ploughs have moved over is because you've been too deep on that previous round, and you've tried to lift it up on that last round, and you can't do that because you're going to move it over. Okay, but if there's any other questions, please have a chat. Thanks for that anyway. But it's good to see everybody having a go. It's really good. And I wasn't here last year, but some of the ploughing is really improved. Yeah, and it will. Yeah, in fact, the more you do, the better you're going to get at it. You know, there's no doubt about that.
And that's the end of it. Hopefully, I'll be ploughing next year.
What, that thing you do?
And hopefully this expert sitting next to me is there and he'll show us how to win.
What am I going to take?